license lapse. We've had probably 3 or 4 people in the last week. Now, it's been a fairly common sort of question, but the fact that we've had so many in the last week is that we've all been talking about this quite a lot now. And for a period of 17 years, from September 2003 through to March 2020, probably not quite 17 years, but close enough, there was a period where you could enter the real estate industry and not have to hold a certificate of registration for any length of period. So if you entered pre-September 2003, you had to hold a certificate of registration for 2 years, have a questionnaire signed off by your licensee in charge at the time, or however many licensees you'd work for in those 2 years, do your course, and then make application to Fair Trading to get a license. So in September 2003, that changed, and you could just hold a certificate and you could stay on that certificate forever. Or you could go directly to a license. You didn't actually have to hold a certificate for any period of time, let alone for the 2 years that you had to prior to that. Now that was fine. So for that period of 17 years, people went straight through, did their course, entered the industry, no experience, off we went. Great change happened in March 2020 when it brought back the experience. So it brought back that 12 months experience on a certificate of registration minimum, 4 years maximum. Do your course, move on to a Class 2 license, do another course, more experience, 2 years of holding a license, and then move on to a Class 1 if you actually want to run your own business or be an independent contractor. But during that 17-year period, people got their licenses. Let's go back to that. People got their licenses without holding a certificate of registration. If they let that license lapse more than 5 years ago, the Property and Stock Agent Qualifications Order is very clear. You enter back into the industry if you have held a certificate in the past. Doesn't matter how far in the past, just in the past. If you've done the qualification and if you can get your work experience logbook signed off by whoever you worked for in the past. So it's either come back in the industry within 5 years. So if you are hiring someone or someone you are working with leaves the industry and then wants to come back later, if they've got a license within 5 years, there is a pathway. There's hoops to jump, obviously, but there is a pathway. If you have never held a certificate, so went straight to a license previously, have let that lapse, and now went back in the industry, if it's over 5 years, the qualifications order say different. Obviously, you can ask Fair Trading to consider that you held a license previously and not, but that's a question and a process that you would need to make a totally different presentation in terms of what you've done in the past. And that's nothing that we can help you with as a college, because we provide the qualifications that you need to get to each step. Fair Trading make the rules around who comes in and what those pathways are. So guys, in other words, I'm kind of saying don't let your license lapse. And if you do, don't let it lapse for more than 5 years, because they're the current rules. It's going to be much more difficult to come back in the future. So just think about that, particularly when you are having new people come into your industry or talking to new people saying, oh yeah, I used to do that. Yeah, I think I'll come back. I was really good at that. That's great. Let's look at some timing issues around what they previously had and when they previously had it and when it lapsed. So that's the issue around that one.